Hello everyone, welcome to 2D Animation. Today we're going to be doing a little drawing project. And what we're going to do is we're just going to get some hands-on experience with the tools and creating some layers and take it from there. Now the first thing I want to do is make sure that my stage size is 1280, just to go ahead and show you how to do that again, by 720. And now your stage should be a 16:9 aspect ratio, and it should have increased in size. Now you can draw anything you'd like, and I'm going to start by using just these tools in this region here. I'm going to start using my brush tool, and on my first layer I'm going to go ahead and make a sort of like a rough draft outline of this. So I don't expect it to come out perfect, but just something. And I'm going to create this sort of little bobblehead little character. And like I said, this is just my outline, my rough draft if you will. So I'm just running a little time lapse here to hurry up the process of the drawing, just to show you what it'll turn out to be. And that's my base outline. So what I'm going to do with this is just call this outline. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to select it, and I want it to fit in my stage. So I'm going to simply just go ahead and scale him down, zoom in a little bit, and you'll notice because it's all vector art, it all stays the same scale and everything. So go ahead and just sort of place him maybe over here, kind of like him there, like he's looking at something over here. So here's my football guy, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to start to draw him in, and I'm going to draw everything on a separate layer. So I'm going to start with his helmet, and in this case I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by using the pencil tool, and I'm going to lock this layer. Now with the pencil tool, I have my stroke colors black, so it's going to draw it in black. And my properties, there we go. I was waiting for my properties to change, so it didn't change right when I selected the tool. I actually had to physically draw something on the stage. I'm going to make my stroke a little bit thicker. And here, now that I can sort of have my outline there, I'm going to draw it in using my pencil tool. And I'm just going to sort of clean it up a little bit while I'm doing this. So if there's any part of the tool that you don't like, you can always go ahead, some part that you didn't like, you can always delete it. And none of this will affect the previous drawing as long as you locked your layer. Okay, so I'm going to use my selector tool here, and I'm zooming in, and I noticed that I had a little smudge there, and now I'm just going to connect these because it's just a little bit easier for me to do that. And here I'm just going to start to bend this out just a little bit, just to sort of create the look that I'm going for. And this is a great feature of the pencil tool. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out, go back to my pencil tool, and I'm going to start to draw right all the way up. And here I'm going to draw around, here I'm going to draw up. Now, again, I'm going to go ahead and simply snap that into place and snap this one into place. And I find this to be extremely useful. And if I really want to keep it along my outline, I'll go ahead and simply, this one's a little too sharp, let's go ahead and just adjust it a little bit. And I'm going to hide my outline really quickly just to take a look and see what it looks like. And I'm pleased with it. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my oval tool here. The stroke color is going to be black, and then I'm going to use the fill color as nothing. That's what this color is. Well, this little white square with a red line going through it, it's no color at all. So I didn't want any color to fill in, not even white, because essentially the white background actually is a transparent too. You can't just select it. Hide my outline. And I'm pleased with that. Now let's just say I wanted it to be the same exact size and shape of that one. Let's go ahead and delete this one. Control C, Control V. And now I've got that there. So I just copied and pasted. Control C to copy, Control V to paste. I'll turn back on my outline. And I'll finish off with this one more tool here. And what I can do with this line is I can copy and paste it and then just move it into place. And I'm going to do that one more time with both of them this time. And then I'm going to zoom in and simply adjust the line work. And hide my outline. And there we go. So now I've used a number of different tools. I used my selection tool, V. I've used my free transform tool. I've used my eraser tool. I've used the brush tool, and I've used the pencil tool. Now I've also used the oval tool. Now, with that being said, this is a pretty good start off to this. I'm going to let you guys kind of try and experiment and use the tools yourselves and see what happens. I'm going to go through and just start to do this outline work and of my helmet, and I'm going to start to just sort of make some subtle adjustments to make it look how I kind of want it to look. So I want these stripes to be pretty close to one another. From here I can start to fill this thing in. I can select my fill bucket tool and go with a slight gray, and you'll notice when I filled this in, it actually reads both of these lines as not being a closed object. So I need to make sure that I snap these accordingly. Oop. And they should just snap right on down. This one looks good, and this one should be good now. Let's try that again. There we go. So I just filled in that region, and you noticed as the fill bucket tool tends to do. Maybe do I have a lighter gray? And it looks like it did it on this side as well. So I need to make sure that this side, that one's good. That one's good. Let's try it again. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and make these green. Okay. So that's the start of the helmet. And you'll notice if I go ahead and start to adjust these lines, whoops, the fill color stays with it, so that's a nice feature. So I don't have to go ahead and grab the fill bucket tool again. Again, also if I wanted to, let's just say, adjust this slightly, go ahead and rotate, transform it. And now I'm going to go ahead and push forward. Now that I've got the helmet complete, I'm going to use a dark gray also for this region for now. So now I'm going to go ahead and start to do the rest of him. Now I can do the helmet or just do the entire head on one thing. But for right now, I think I'm going to stick with doing each thing on a separate layer. So I've got my helmet on one layer, and I'm going to do the head on a separate layer. And I'm going to go ahead and lock the helmet. And for right now, I'm going to hide it. And I'm going to start this by using the oval tool. And I'm going to go with no color. And I'm going to use my selection tool. And I'm going to go ahead and start to curve this line work here around to sort of match my reference. something like that. And I'm going to turn back on the helmet just to see what it looks like. I think that's pretty good. And I can match it exactly, or I can just throw it slightly off to match, because I rotated the helmet a little bit. And I think that looks a little bit better for what I'm doing, since this is just my like sort of rough outline. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use the oval tool again to create these eyes. Now, maybe I could use the oval tool. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use a combination of both tools. I'm going to use a line tool here. I'm going to use another line tool over here. And then I'm going to use the oval tool. But I'm only going to use half of it. So I'm going to use my selection tool, and I'm going to delete this bottom half. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this over. And I'm going to grab this, snap it over there, and curve this around. And now you see that without even having to draw this, essentially, I went ahead and just used the oval tool part of it and then just sort of warp the line around. Now with this side, let's just say I wanted to keep both eyes identical. Copy paste. Now I've got both eyes. The next thing I'm going to do is the color of the eyes, and delete half of it. I'm going to use my free transform tool and just sort of go ahead and place that in. Now again, you're going to see that, like, let's just say this isn't working the way I want it to look exactly. I can just kind of get it placed in there and then just sort of work my magic around with the pointer tool. There we go. And do something like that. Okay. Okay, so that worked a little bit better. I'm going to try that there. There we go. You'll notice I'm just able to sort of select these tools as I go along. And here, I'm going to connect this one here. Okay, those are good. And instead of having to go through that whole process again, I'm going to delete this one. Copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V. And then I'm going to go back to my pencil tool. Draw this region in. And then his mouth, I'm not so set on his mouth as much. So what I think I might do is I'm going to sort of run these little rosy cheek outlines. And then I'm going to maybe run his mouth across and give him a little sort of smile. And I want him to sort of kind of look funny, so maybe I do something like this. Instead. All right. Cool. Okay. Now I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to take a look at the big picture here, and I'm going to hide my helmet layer and my outline layer, and that's the character. So he's going to look something like this. And maybe I take this here, sort of just slide it over maybe a little bit, and that works a little bit better. And I'm just going to select this and move it down. And you'll notice that you'll get some extra lines that the pencil tool creates using those mathematical equations and whatnot that you don't really need because it's just taking up memory. But this is pretty good here. And I'm going to go ahead and just sort of, maybe I'll do a couple more things. I'm going to use the square tool, and I'm going to use black. And I'm going to give them those sort of football player-esque lines around. And zoom in and rotate and place. And maybe something like that. Okay, so another thing, maybe I give him a little bit more of a chin. Alright, so let's go to my helmet. And there we go. Okay, I just didn't want him to have as large of a sort of a forehead there. Lock that layer. And now I can go ahead and start to fill in this. And I'll go ahead and start to just kind of color them in using my fill bucket tool. And I'm going to select sort of a, make sure I'm on the right layer. No to orange. And you're going to see here what's happening is I've got everything selected. Stage. Fill color. And I'm just sort of trying to find like a skin tone. And you're seeing that his teeth are sort of filling in, his mouth region here. So it's always good to sort of double check. There we go. Alright, so that'll be the skin tone, I guess. And let's go ahead and select a blue for his eyes. And a black for his pupils. Oop. Whoa. So you'll notice there that something obviously isn't filled in correctly or connected right. Let's try something like that. And there we go. So there's the head. And I'm gonna bring this down a little bit. Something like that. Alright, so now I'll go ahead, turn on my outline again, and you're going to see that you can see right through his eyes and his teeth and whatnot. So what we can do from here is we can just go ahead and select a white. Oop. Make sure you unlock your layer, and now you'll see that you're actually filling in these colors. So that's pretty good there. So now I've got my head and helmet of my guy here. So I can turn off this layer, and now I've got the head on one layer and the helmet on another. So I'm going to continue where I left off, and I'm going to go ahead and start to create the rest of this character. So I'm going to start next with the neck. And how you have these layers ordered will really make a difference on, and will lock every layer that I'm not using, will make a really big difference on the way they appear. So let's just say, for example, I had the head above the helmet. It's going to look really weird. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that in order that looks the way I want it to. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue pushing forward on to the neck here. So I've got all my other layers locked that I'm not working on. And I'm going to start just by simply drawing one line and drawing another line. And I'm just using the line tool here. And then I'm going to draw one more line. And I'm going to hide the helmet and the head for the time being. I'm going to draw one more line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pointer tool and just sort of connect these. And then just drag this down. Something like that. This one I'm not too concerned about, but I'll just sort of warp it out a little bit. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on the head, and I'm going to grab my fill bucket tool, and I'm going to select this color, and I'm going to fill this in. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the next part. I'm going to do the body. So I really like using the oval tool, the line tool, and the pencil tool in a combination, because the three of these all have that same exact sort of line calculation that the pencil tool creates. So if I go ahead and just go ahead and show you. So this is the pencil tool, this is the oval tool, and this is the line tool. And the square tool does as well, but I have a little bit more freedom with the oval tool in combination with these. I'm going to delete the fill color here. And let's just say I wanted to go ahead, as I've been showing you, I'm going to delete this region. Let's say I want to connect this one here, and then take this one, connect it there. And now I've just created a straight line here along with my oval shape. And again here, let's just say I wanted to create one more thing, and whatever it is. And they all sort of really work extremely well together. So those tools connect very easily and make drawing in Flash much easier to do. So I'm going to go to the body here, and I'm going to start just by simply sort of drawing. And now I'm going to go ahead and just sort of warp this out a little bit, because he's got shoulders. I think that'll work. And then, but simultaneously, I sort of want him to, obviously I wanted him to sort of look like a little kid, kind of. Okay. And this I'm using the line tool. Go ahead here. And that'll be fine for this. And then I'm going to go ahead and draw one more. And bend this out. Hopefully I can get it to bend right. Okay. Bend this one out. Oh. So I didn't get as much luck as I hoped with that one. So I'm going to go ahead and just use the pencil tool and sort of freehand it. And with the pencil tool, I have this set to smooth, by the way. Alright. Next thing is I'll just freehand the arm here. And I'm going to use the oval tool here. Delete that. Change my fill color to null, nothing. And then just go ahead like so. And then the pencil tool. And I'm going to draw in the little stripes I did on his shoulder here. Okay. Okay, and there we go. So, there's the body I've got. I'm going to lock and hide the neck for the time being, and now I'm going to start to fill this guy in. So I'm going to zoom out, turn back on my helmet, because I want to grab some color from there, and I want to select this green. I'm going to select this, and you'll notice right away something's not connected over here, and I think it's this one. And there we go. Let's try it one more time. Okay, now it worked. Zoom out. And I'll turn on the neck so it doesn't look so funky. And now I'm going to go ahead and grab this slight gray. And gray. And now I've got his jersey, or his body, and the skin tone. Okay, so this one's not connected. It won't fill in. Let's go ahead and try now. Okay. So he's got his arms tucked behind his back. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my outline layer. And from here, I'm just going to simply start to draw in the rest of this guy. And I'm going to try to do it a little bit more quickly. Using the pencil tool, I'll go ahead and create a new layer. I'm going to call this belly. And here, I'm just going to simply hide these layers for now. And I'm going to hide this layer for now. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my belly in here. And there we go. There's the belly. Now I'm going to hide my, outline. And sort of just tweak it to how I want it to look. Okay. Turn back on the outline. And maybe have this come out a little bit further. There we go. something like so. Okay, hide the outline again, and in here I guess I could just do a little belly button. And now I'm going to fill it in. Zoom in a little bit, and that's good too. Alright. Take this, sort of bring it down a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to create the legs. And again, I'm going to hide all my layers except for the belly at the moment. And I'm going to lock that belly layer. And now I'm going to go ahead and draw in the legs. Go ahead and just sort of tweak that out a little bit. Bring this one out a little bit. Bring this down. That across. And I'm just using the line tool here to draw this guy in. And I'm just using my pointer tool to snap and modify my line work. Now I'm going to hide the belly. And the reason why I fill in these top regions here is because I want to be able to fill it in really simple, like just use the paint bucket tool, and it doesn't take too much time to just sort of fill that in a little bit. And then here, I'm going to delete that one. Copy paste. And copy paste. And I'm going to copy paste it one more time, and then here I'm going to do edit, or actually, excuse me, modify, transform, flip, horizontal. So go ahead and bring this into place. Copy paste. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to copy paste all of these, but then I'm going to do a modify, transform, flip horizontal on all three of them at the same time. Whoop. And just go ahead and place those into place. Use my line tool from here to here. One more time, here to here. And then the belt. So the belt, I'm showing this layer, the belly layer, just so I can get an idea on where I want to place the belt. And I'm going to use the square tool here, or rectangle tool. Whoop. And I'm going to turn this to no color for the time being. And that should be good. And then I'm just going to run one line from here over to here. Now, even though I have this layer showing, it's locked, so I can't draw on it. So that's a really important thing to keep in mind. I'm going to go ahead now and just sort of curve this down. Curve that one down. Curve that down, and then whoop, curve that down. Over here. Delete. Alright, now I'm going to zoom out. And I'm going to start to fill this in. So, I'm going to turn on my layers again. And I'm going to start by hide in just a second. I'm going to make his pants this gray color. And you'll notice again right here it didn't obviously snap correctly, so that's good. But this one did not. Try it again. There we go. And there we go. And then go ahead and select this color here for my... Ooh. Let me unlock these layers. There we go. Alright. And the color of the belt, I guess I'll make it green. And I'll make that, I guess, like a slightly darker gray. We'll make it this color gray here. Alright. And then I've got the feet to do. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to simply do another layer. I'll call this one feet, using my line tool. And I'm going to turn on my outline layer again. And then I can always drag this up again in case I need to. I'm going to go here, here, and here. And this should sort of get this shape that I was going for. And I'm just going to copy, paste, modify, transform, flip horizontal, and bring that over here. Delete these two. Snap that. Uh-oh. Good. And let's go ahead and hide this part. And okay. Turn back on the legs. Bring that about there. And now I'm going to use the brush tool for the shoelaces. And I'm going to bring the brush size to be smaller. Whoa. Oh, and I'm going to go zoom size with stage. I'm going to click that off. There we go. Alright. So, go ahead like so and just sort of draw these in. Again on this side. And it looks like I actually should have done my laces, and I probably should have on a separate layer, because you're noticing that it's interfering with my pencil tool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut these, right click, cut, create new layer, right click, paste in place, and then hide this. I'm going to call this laces. Hide this layer. Reconnect those lines. And while I'm at it, on the foot layer, make these dark gray. And try that one more time. So it's not filling in, so let's try close small gaps. And try close large gaps. There we go. And the reason being, it wasn't connected here or here either. Alright. Now my laces, I'm going to change the color of these to be black now. And I'm going to hide my feet. And I'm going to go to my laces. I'm going to lock my foot layer. And then just using the brush tool, I'm going to paint these in. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's that. Now, I'm going to unhide that layer, and I've now completed the base character of what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go ahead and hide my outline layer, and I'm going to turn this into a guide layer, and we're going to get into more of that, what that is later. But basically what that means, if I press Control Return or Control Enter, you'll notice none of the blue line is there. And even though I have the visibility off, even if I have it on, it still isn't there. Now the reason being is because it's a guide layer. If I turn this guide layer off and press Control Return, you'll now see it. Even if I hide it here and press Control Return, you'll still see it. So you need to make sure you turn it to a guide layer, which isn't exactly the most important thing at the moment. Anyway, so that goes through that, and that was just creating my main little character there. Now for the background, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 9 layers. This will be my background. Layer number 10. And I'm just going to do something really, really simple and basic for this. Oops. I'm going to choose like a, maybe like a darker green. And then maybe I've got some white stripes here. Go ahead and zoom in a little bit. Control Shift V, and that should paste it in place. So there's my field, if you will. And right off the bat, I'm just going to do another line just to cover everything. And I'm going to bring the stroke to like 3. Actually, let's make it like 5. And I'm just going to go right across the top. Now, when I press Control Return, I've got my little football player in his little field so far. Again, I can do whatever I want in the background. I could add a bench, and I'm going to do that just using the rectangle tool, and I'm going to select a brownish color, and I'm going to create a new layer. I'll call this bench, and then Make sure you have all your layers locked that you're not working on. And then I'm going to go ahead and just use this tool here. Create a little bench. And then the background, let's say I do a scoreboard. And I'll change this color to a dark gray. And take this layer and I'm going to bring it down. And then I'm just going to use my text tool and say Team A. And then I'm going to change my font. Change my font to something. Maybe it's got something a little bit more. That'll work. Now another thing here is it popped up behind it. I can do a modify, arrange, bring to front, and that should do it. And it did not. Unless, one more thing, the text is the same color as you wouldn't, as the what's directly behind it, you wouldn't see it. So there's Team A, and I'm going to make the text smaller. And let's go ahead and just actually make this more interesting. Let's call this team just home and away, right? So I'm going to copy and paste that one, and then I'm just going to go ahead and write away. And this might actually even be in yellow. Okay, and do one more that's go 7, and this one I'm going to make black because I'm going to add a white background to it, and I'm going to make the text slightly larger. Change my background here. Oop. Selecting this square. And changing this one to 0. So now I've got a scoreboard as well. And then I can change my background to, let's just say, like a nice sunny day color. And there we go. Now, that is the basic premise of this entire thing. I'm going to lock all my layers here. And when I press Control Return, I've got a little image here. This character is all created on separate layers, as well as everything else, obviously. And just go ahead and make sure that you have all your layers in here. And just kind of get a hands-on grasp of what all the tools do. So that's all I got for the drawing project, and Thanks for watching.